increased accuracy and greater speed thanks to the John Deere Smart Grade. This fully integrated 3D grade control system boosts job site productivity and reduces labor costs with fewer passes and less wasted material, meaning more bids won and higher margins. No masts, no cables, just clear views of the job site. Visit your local Landmark implement today and discover the profit-boosting power of the Smart Grade and experience the Landmark difference.
You already know that Select Plumbing takes care of all your plumbing needs, including water heaters, faucet repairs, leaks, drips, sump pumps, and more. Now, they're able to help you with your heating and air conditioning as well. Select Plumbing has recently expanded into residential heating and air, and they're excited to bring this new service to their complete list of plumbing services. Call to book an appointment today at 402-560-6197 or go to selectplumbinginc.com, serving Lincoln, Seward, Milford, and the surrounding areas.
Get rid of pesky critters once and for all with Bats to Rats. Their expert team is here to help you reclaim your home. No more sleepless nights caused by crawling critters or flapping wings. Bats to Rats ensures a safe environment for every family member. Check the website at batstorats.com for amazing offers. And if you mention this ad, you'll receive $10 off your initial inspection cost. Call Bats to Rats today at 402-781-8691. That's 402-781-8691. Bats to Rats.
This is On the Block with Strick and Austin. Nebraska Basketball Hall of Famer and 9-year NBA vet, Eric Strickland.
Strickland for three. You're going to go out of here as the Big 8 tournament champion.
Middle school basketball coaching legend and Duke basketball shooting coach in his mind, Austin Orman. Coming at you live from the heart of Lincoln, America. On air and online at theticketfm.com. Presented by NIPCO. This is On the Block with Strick and Austin.
They did it. They did it. They did it. The Kansas City Royals are an MLB playoff team in year of our Lord 2024. They did it. They did it. I have not been able to contain my excitement since the Twins lost on Friday night. The most anticlimactic way of making the playoffs. They were full Austin Powers in the hallway with that little cart trying to reverse back their way into the playoffs. But for the second time ever in a full season, the team lost 100 games the year before, then qualified for the playoffs. That team, the second one, the Kansas City Royals. Austin Norman, Nick Sainert with you. We will talk Huskers. Plenty of other people have done that. But I got a baseball guy in studio with me today. Stricky, yeah, baseball guy because he played in the minors. Yeah. But Stricky just kind of tolerates my baseball talk. Nick, I think you can at least appreciate this, even if you're maybe slightly disappointed at the outcome for your own beloved Chicago Cubs.
Yeah, I am. I do have some sort of fond affection for the Kansas City Royals, so we are rooting for them, especially. And it's never been difficult because number one, they've been, not great in recent history, besides the World Series run. But then second is they've rarely played the Cubs. Right. Because of obviously being in opposite divisions. And never, ever will there be a Cubs-Royals World Series because neither team is good at the same time as the other team and actually makes the World Series. So I never have to worry about that. So the Cubs are the number one on my fandom list. Royals are a close second. They're fun to cheer for. I would say this also. I feel like everybody needs somewhat of a smaller market team to kind of cheer for because when a small market team has success, it gives, especially for the people that live in Nebraska and we're used to like college athletics more so than professional athletics, it gives that college feel. Yes. I think when a small market team and it feels like you're maybe more not invested more so, but the community is more invested than maybe with a bigger organization like the Yankees, like the Dodgers. It feels more community driven, and the Royals certainly play into that. Yes. Especially in these last couple of months of trying to figure out stadium situations and so on and so forth. I'm rooting for a small market organization like the Royals to have success this year.
And they made the playoffs. It's already a rousing success.
Exactly.
I mean, if you would have told me 6 months ago, right before the season started or right as the season was starting, that the Kansas City Royals were going to make the playoffs, I take it in a heartbeat. No questions asked. They had a 5-game lead in the wild card as recently as a week and a half ago, and it all dwindled. 2 separate 7-game losing streaks. And I had to keep it in perspective. Like, this team shouldn't even be here right now.
Yeah.
It is a miracle that the Kansas City Royals are anywhere near the playoff conversation. And don't worry, we will bring you the Royals games live on air tomorrow and Wednesday. Hopefully that's all it takes for the Royals to sweep their way through and then face another AL East team in New York after that. But it felt bad, with the 2 7-game losing streaks. But we'll get to why it was maybe a little bit okay here at the end of the segment. I just wanted to quick go over with you, Nick, maybe the 5 biggest reasons in my head the Royals made the playoffs.
Yeah.
No particular order. Number 1, starting rotation. Completely overhauled from 2023 to 2024. You look at Jordan Lyles, like darn near led the major leagues in starts last year, ERA over 5. The Royals lost, I think, his first 15 or 16 starts. Daniel Lynch got starts. Chris Bubich was okay, but was injured. But this is a key difference between the Royals and the Twins, even over the offseason, right? The Twins and the Guardians were battling for their TV contract.
Yeah.
The Royals weren't, right? It's not a great deal for Kansas City. It's below market rate right now. But the Twins and Guardians were hesitant to spend. What did the Royals do? They went out, they got Seth Lugo, a converted reliever who wanted to be a starter. The Royals gave him that chance. All he did was take the ball every 5th day and lead the major leagues in innings in his first year as a converted reliever into a starter. Cole Reagan's surface numbers pretty good this year. Did it feel as overwhelming as last year right after the trade with the Texas Rangers that brought him over in exchange for Aroldis Chapman? No, it didn't. But really, by wins above replacement and even a lot of the underlying metrics, Tarek Skubal of the Detroit Tigers, worthy Cy Young winner, was just a tick, just a hair better than Cole Reagan's. You get a bounce back year from Michael Wacha. You get good Brady Singer as he alternates years, essentially. And even Alec Marsh, the guy no one expected, was lights out for 2 months. So it goes back to, I think, the starting rotation being that much better than last year. But even just John Sherman green lighting spending money when basically no other teams in the division were.
That's the point, right? And it gives, so this is where the Kansas City Royals, in terms of free agency spending last year, or in this last offseason, they spent the 6th most in Major League Baseball. In all of Major League Baseball, far and above more than anybody else in the AL Central.
Yes.
But 6th most for a smaller market team in Major League Baseball. They were directly behind the Chicago Cubs, who was behind the Arizona Diamondbacks. Then it goes Philly, San Francisco, and obviously the Los Angeles Dodgers with the Giants Shohei Ohtani contract. But you look at other teams in that division. The Detroit Tigers are next, as close as you could be for AL Central, spending $50 million less than the Kansas City Royals did in free agency. I think also we looked at it at the start of the year, and correct me if I'm wrong, obviously, Austin, but Will Smith looked to be like, hey, he's the diamond in this free agency class. He's been a part of World Series teams. He's been a key piece in a lot of bullpens on those World Series teams. And look at what, like last year, who did they have closing out? Like the Royals had like John MacArthur.
James MacArthur,
excuse
who
me.
did lead the Royals in saves this season.
That is
with
right.
18. Still crazy.
But so they had like least or lesser notable guys on
John
in their
McMillan.
bullpen.
Yeah.
And I like John.
Yeah.
But lesser bullpen names and notable guys maybe on there. They get the notable names of like Michael Wacha, who you know from his career with the Cardinals, obviously, and Seth Lugo from his time with the New York Mets and things like that. So not only do you have the names that just the common baseball fans might know and gravitate towards in the early parts of the season to get fans to the ballpark, but then, like you said, they actually started winning games.
And that helped. The bullpen blew a couple games early. And in the Royals-Baltimore series especially, Will Smith gave up a walk-off. He kind of blew the game. That was Reagan's versus Burns. I'm going to get to that game more tomorrow. But you have the World Series mystique, right? Will Smith 3 years in a row winning the World Series. He started his career with the Royals before he was traded away in a deal. You get guys like Chris Stratton, who was up and down. Nick Anderson at the start of the year was a flyer. John Schreiber, ground ball specials. He's blown up a couple times, but been decently solid. And that's another point I want to make here. John Sherman and, of course, J.J. Piccolo in his second full year as general manager made some incredible moves at the trade deadline. Everyone did. The Royals were maybe a surprise contender here, but you go and you get Hunter Harvey, who was on the IL with a back injury right now, but he was fine before he went down. Lucas Erceg, you give up quite a bit to get him, but you still have 5 years of control for the guy that turned into your closer. And then after the deadline, John Sherman is still okay with adding salary. Guys get waived. You get your leadoff hitter in Tommy Pham, who you were trying to trade for. You didn't want to trade for him, and the Cardinals just waived him.
Yeah.
So you pick him up, you just give up salary for him. Robbie Grossman had the go-ahead RBI single to win a game against the Nationals. And then even like Yuli Gurriel at 40, you pay cash to get him out of the Braves minor league system. He'll be a platoon guy. Adam Frazier won a couple games for the Royals. Hunter Renfroe had a really crappy April and May, but from June on, he's been the Hunter Renfroe we all know and love, or something along those lines. Like, it was a great job by the front office of spending money, of being willing to spend maybe more than the Royals did, but not go overboard. It was so incredibly targeted.
It was targeted and purposeful, and it had to be. And what I want people to realize, they don't have these flashy guys in the minors that they could bring up in the middle of the year. Not once was it the Bobby Witt, hey, he's in AAA, and now that the Royals are contenders, we got to bring him up.
Not like the Tigers did with Jackson Joe.
Yeah, there was nothing like that. Trust me. It was a lot of like, okay, Nick Prado could come up for 3 games, he'll pitch against the Yankees, and then we know he's going to get sent back down. Same with like guys like Tyler Gentry, who made their major league debut.
CJ Alexander.
Yes, CJ Alexander.
Like
there was one. I mean,
Waters is a quad A guy.
Waters, Rave never got brought up. So like through all of this, though, same with Nate Eaton.
Yeah.
But like through all of this, I find it fascinating because they did have pieces in the bullpen. Like Angel Zerpa is one that you're probably going to hear quite a bit about in the playoffs and postseason, rightfully so, because he can pump it pretty well. But for the most part, they had to hit and be successful on all of these guys. And just to give folks a reminder, this comes from the Kansas City newspaper at the start of the year. This is at the start of the year. I found this article, A Comprehensive Guide to the Royals Free Agent Journey. And it's headlined, Will the Royals be good in 2024? And it's the response is, this seems unlikely. While the free agent additions should significantly improve the team, they were so bad last year that this only gets them to mediocre levels of competitiveness, barring breakouts from returning players. And this is what I want to say and applaud the front office, because they've done something that other teams don't always take advantage of. It all started with the commitment to Bobby Witt, right? It all started with that. But second off is when you were on the cusp, and everybody has to make a decision at the trade deadline. The Cubs have had to make the decision multiple times, other organizations as well. When you have a chance to go for it, go for it.
Yeah.
And you have to be all in, 10 toes down, fully committed. Some teams are not. A lot of times that's where the Cubs have struggled, is they're not all, they can always say, yeah, we know, look, this roster with us at the deadline, it's gotten us to a spot where we're contending for a playoff spot. But also, being a realist, you can look at a roster and go, this isn't going to compete for a World Series. The Royals, it still might not compete for a World Series. They're not the favorite, obviously, to win it all come in a couple of months. But at the end of the day, they're here, number one. And number two, they have been 10 toes down, fully committed, fully bought in since the offseason when they made the connection with Bobby Witt Jr.
Well, and to your point on the AAA guys, right? You made all those improvements to the roster without a lot in the farm system that other teams wanted. You had to dip down into the lower levels, maybe for like a Caden Wallace. You held on to Blake Mitchell.
Yeah.
You didn't have to trade away Jack Heglione, to get a piece like that, which is huge.
Yeah, and you also signed, I mean, like early in the season, you signed a AAA catcher, Austin Nola. He got hurt early on in his season, had a rib injury. He was out for a while, but he was never going to fill that void. Like they don't have anybody in the minors that like moves the needle or instantly takes them over the top. And so you see all of these other teams, and I'm trying to think of some that are off the top of my head that aren't Chicago Cubs, because obviously the Cubs aren't a playoff team, but there's minor leaguers that teams will bring up halfway through the second half of the year.
Jackson Joe, Jackson Holiday.
Exactly.
Guys
like those that not only can provide a spark, but are instant additions to the lineup. You move up, and once again, I appreciate my guys, but like you move up Tyler Gentry, and it's like, okay, that's fine. And
you don't even play him every day.
Yeah, you're not playing him every day. You move up a bullpen guy, it's like, okay, yeah, it's fine. They've just figured out a way to make it work, and they assessed it correctly. they realized, hey, this is our year to really build a foundation. Maybe it's a wild card exit with the Baltimore Orioles, but then guess what? You were able to build off of nothing, off of one of your worst seasons, 100+ losses, and get the free agents you got. Now you've shown commitment to some of your guys. And now in the free agency market going into 2025, you have the ability to at least have conversations with players that you weren't knocking on the door of the year before.
Right. You can send the courtesy call just to see, but you weren't getting them to pick up the phone.
Exactly.
Now at least guys are picking up the phone. A couple things to get to real quick then, and I want to set the table with the last point for the Royals to lead into our Nebraska football versus Purdue discussions here. The three-headed monster of Bobby Witt Jr., Salvador Perez, and Vinny Pasquantino. The fewest RBIs between that group was 97 from Vinny. Otherwise, the Royals would have had 3 players with 100 RBIs. Bobby Witt Jr. becoming a superstar, obviously a huge reason. He was good last year. His ascension took the Royals to another level, really papered over the fact that the Royals kept him in the 2-hole all year. They did not get good production, like bottom 5 in the league production out of their leadoff hitter. Bobby Witt Jr. still put up historic numbers, led the league in hits, officially the MLB batting champion with a .332 average, 45 doubles, 11 triples, 32 homers, third best slugging percentage in the majors, as the highest graded defender in baseball at the shortstop position. Oh, and he grades out as one of the 3 fastest players in baseball. Obviously, that's key. The Royals, I don't say dominated their division. 2 of the other 3 teams, right? Detroit and Minnesota also went 12-1 against the White Sox, but the Guardians didn't. Yeah, they still won the division, but you go 8-5 against Cleveland. That's huge. 7-6 against Detroit. You were up 7-3 in that season series against them before the Tigers went on their miracle run. And 6-7 against Minnesota, but you swept that last year, so maybe it looks a little bit better. But Nick, maybe the biggest key to the Royals making the postseason, more so than anything we've already talked about, was the hot start. The Royals got up to, I think it was at least 15, maybe 16, 17 games above 500 at one point, and they end the year 10 games over 500. Again, 12-1 against the White Sox. You build up some cushion there, but you're below 500 in the second half. Right after your hot start, you're pretty considerably below 500, about 7 games. Yes, you underperform your Pythagorean record by 5 wins. According to their run differential, Royals should have been 91 and 71, which would have had them like a game or 2 behind the Guardians instead of 6.5 games or 7 games for the division lead. Like my main point though is you built up equity with a hot start. Would it be a different feeling right now if you were the Tigers? Yes, like 23-10 or something since Javi Baez exited the lineup at the end of August.
Yeah,
they got on an all-time heater. That would be so fun to be a part of. To see your team go on a run like that, 1, go from like 3% playoff odds to locking up a spot even before the Royals.
Does this feel sustainable though?
That's the question. Yeah. Right. Does it feel sustainable for the Tigers? I don't know. Like maybe a little bit of Team of Destiny vibes. I know they're still a flawed roster. And on the Royals end, they have not been playing good baseball since Vinny went down. I didn't realize how much he meant to that team, but this is where I want to tie in Husker football as well.
And I know you're about to. Yeah. I want to provide this statistic just for context on the baseball before we wrap it up. You mentioned the Tigers and their run right now. Just to give people an idea, on August 11th, the Detroit Tigers had a 0.2% chance of making the playoffs. August 24th, just 13 days after that grew to 1.4%. Then on September 14th, a little less than a month later, it was 8.7%. And on September 27th, they will be the day that they clinched the playoff berth. It went to 99.6. You're talking about in a month and 16 days, your playoff odds changed from 0.2% to 99.6%, a 99.4% jump. It's crazy to think about. Another thing is just to kind of wrap it all together full circle, going back to the Bobby Witt Jr. extension. Don't forget that after this year, he would have entered arbitration. Yeah. He would not have, for the money, simply from the money standpoint, after the year that he has, somebody like the Yankees or the Dodgers or whoever, insert team, big market team name here, somebody would have offered him a ridiculous amount of money that the Royals, even for how much they wanted to commit, would not have been able to compete with.
Right.
And therefore, Bobby Witt Jr. would not be a Royal going forward after the season that he had this year. Wow. The Kansas City Royals lucky? They look like geniuses for locking him up with the deal that they did, because not only does it look like somewhat of a bargain, but they get him for at least 6 years until he's got opt-outs after the 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th years.
Right. And think about the difference between the Royals' top pick in 2018 in Bobby Witt Jr. and the Tigers having to demote Spencer Torkelson.
Yeah.
How much more dangerous would that lineup be if Spencer Torkelson was in the lineup, right?
Mhm.
But the Tigers are on a jet plane right now with their record and that run you just mentioned. The Royals aren't even coasting into the playoffs, right? Like they're beaten, they're battered,
Yes.
they're limping in. But guess what? Both teams are in. And the Royals end up with the 5 seed. One game here, one game there. It makes a difference.
Well,
and I've heard this from some people in Kansas City, some other Royals fans that I talk to. They say something along the lines of the Royals just don't feel like a playoff team. You know, the bullpen is better, but how much can you trust it? The offense is top half in the in the American League, but it's been scuffling lately. Starters are taxed beyond what they've normally done. So the Royals don't feel like a playoff team. Well, guess what? There's no perfect teams. The Dodgers that you think of, flawed, no rotation. The Phillies that you think of, how much can you trust them in that bullpen, right? The offense has been slumping as well. The Yankees, it's a two-man show. The bar for a playoff team is so much different now than in years past. So that's going to take some getting used to. And just like Nebraska against Colorado, the Royals had their equivalent of a 28-0 lead. Was it pretty in the second half? No. But you still won. You still got in. And no, the Royals weren't even the last team in the playoffs.
That's right.
They got the 5 seed, not the 6, like Detroit did. There is not a perfect Major League Baseball team. There's not a perfect college football team, records aside.
Yeah.
When I think about how the Royals season went, not just how it ended with them in the playoffs right now, but how it started. Nebraska football banked 3 wins early. It had to do that. Seeing the win against Purdue, seeing the win against Northern Iowa, even Colorado, I feel like, at least for me, the wins have been secondary. I've been trying to nitpick, they have to do this better. They have to do this better. Nick, I'm in a spot now with both the Royals, helping me see with the Huskers. We got to learn to love these teams for who they are. The bar has changed. The Huskers aren't great. They're not perfect, but guess what? They're doing more than enough to win. They've put themselves in position to be successful, have the season they want. They got 4 wins in 5 games. It's been a long time since we've been able to say that about the Huskers, right? You can hope for perfection. You can expect better. But at some point, we also have to acknowledge the reality of the situation. There's great, there's elite, and then there's just a bunch of good and pretty good. That's where the Royals are right now, and I really think that's where the Huskers are. Good, but flawed.
We're going to certainly dive into this in the next segment. I know we're up against the clock, but how about this in the baseball game that's going on currently? Have you seen the update?
I heard that Schwelle got yanked and the Braves lost his lead.
So Spencer Schwellenbach, we haven't even been able to talk about the job he did today. Spencer Schwellenbach started a pretty important game today. Just to put into context for the listeners, so the Braves and the Mets are playing a makeup doubleheader today. And essentially, if the Braves and the Mets split the doubleheader today, both of them are in. The Braves and the Mets are 2 playoff teams. However, if the Mets either sweep both games or Atlanta wins both games, that winning team and the Arizona Diamondbacks are in. It was reported the Arizona Diamondbacks are at the clubhouse right now. Yeah, they've packed their suitcases and they're just watching the game to see if they need to travel somewhere for the playoffs. So Atlanta, who's playing at home today, Atlanta was up 3-0. Spencer Schwellenbach, the former Husker, got the start. Schwelle's been probably the best pitcher for the Atlanta Braves outside of Chris Sale. Outside of Chris Sale, who's a Cy Young candidate. Yeah, and he's been one of the better pitchers for the Atlanta Braves in the later parts of the season. He goes 7 innings, allows 4 hits and 1 earned run, doesn't walk a single Met batter, but has 5 strikeouts as well. Atlanta was up 3-1 when he exited the game. The Mets then tacked on 5 more runs in the top of the 8th inning. And now in the bottom of the 8th, the Mets lead the Braves 6-3 in the bottom of the 8th in Atlanta. It's crazy. This first game,
baseball, man.
This first game is the most important because whoever wins it has a dramatic upper hand. You're essentially in.
Yeah,
you're essentially in. Whoever wins this first one. If let's say the Mets win this, hold on to win it. If they win the second one, great. If they don't, they're still in.
Yeah.
So it's not that you don't want to just forget about it, but man, this is postseason baseball, and it feels like it's already started.
It feels like it should be a game 163,
Absolutely.
but it's just a makeup game. So we will definitely keep our eyes on that situation here throughout the show. Big thanks to Nebco for sponsoring it. Go check them out at nebcoinc.com. They're hiring for a couple different companies. We're diving into the flawed but lovable Husker football team after a 28-10 win over Purdue right after this. Constructors is now hiring for all positions, with laborers starting at $23 and up based on experience. Constructors has immediate job openings for laborers, mechanics, bridge builders, operators, and drivers. Start your new career today. Constructors offers great pay, health, dental, and vision insurance, paid time off, paid holidays, and so much more. Join the crew today and be a part of Nebraska's oldest paving company dating back to 1908. For a complete list of openings and to apply online, visit constructorslincoln.com.
With the Planet Fitness Black Card, you don't just get a great workout, you get a great perk out because your membership is packed with perks. For $1 down and $24.99 a month, you'll get perks like access to any of our 2,400 clean and spacious locations. Bring your friend anytime and both work out with tons of equipment that'll give you that big fitness energy. Relax in the Black Card spa and more. Work out and perk out with the PF Black Card. Join for just $1 down and $24.99 a month.
Hurry, this deal ends soon.
See Home Club for details.
Tailored Life is your headquarters for all things fall in Bennett. Make the short drive down Highway 2 for tons of items for your home, both indoors and outdoors. Check out their variety of potted trees, mums, and more. Plus, porch pots and landscape lighting to enhance the outside of your home. Don't forget their home goods for indoors, plus convenient drinks and snacks, most of which are produced locally. Visit Tailored Life today in Bennett and stay tuned to their Facebook page at Tailored Life 360 for food truck events coming up.
Are you ready for a new opportunity? Check out Sandhills Global. Join a dynamic team where your skills are valued and your career can soar. We offer full-time positions with a 4.5-day work week, competitive pay, excellent benefits, and a positive work environment. From IT and marketing to sales and finance, we're looking for talented individuals like you. Apply today at sandhills.jobs and take the first step towards an exciting future. That's sandhills.jobs. Don't wait. Apply now.
Ready to score big with your projects? Look no further than Edward Stone, the MVP of natural stone for over 2 decades. Edward Stone is cranking out over 30,000 square feet every week and offers a winning lineup of over 70 quality natural veneer stone selections. Their unbeatable variety and experienced team will ensure your project is a success, whether it's a home renovation or a commercial build. And hey, they're not just about stone. They've got an all-star lineup of fireplaces, cast stone, brick, and much more. Swing by one of their locations in Lincoln or Omaha today and experience the Edward Stone difference, your reliable choice for over 20 years.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Sponsored by John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning.
Your Lincoln forecast for today, we'll see lots of sunshine. It will be breezy and warm, napping high around 90. Tonight, clear skies, and it will be breezy, low around 47. And tomorrow, we'll see lots of sunshine with cooler temperatures, and high expected around 71. Meteorologist Kyle Cluck for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
IT issues wreaking havoc on your day? It's time to hire the experts. It's time to hire Hamilton. When it comes to your business, you don't have time to worry about network security, data backup, and protection, or support when devices slow down or stop working. At Hamilton, we ensure that your technology is up to speed and works as hard as you do. Don't let IT issues slow you down. You deserve better. Hire Hamilton at hamiltonisbusiness.com.
Fall is here, which means it's time to dive into a new lineup of autumn flavors at Wings and Rings, your home away from home during football season. Their all-star lineup of wing sauces is adding 2 new impact players, curry garlic and pumpkin chili. Need something delicious before kickoff? How about starting your meal with their brand new chorizo nachos and loaded fries? You better act fast. These new tastes of autumn won't be here long. So make the trip to one of their 2 Lincoln locations today on O Street or Village Lane.
Now back to On the Block with Strick and Austin on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
We're back on the block. Austin Norman and Nick Sainer with you for the next hour and a half or so. Stricky is on his way back from Phoenix. That's where Stricky was. So he'll be back in studio tomorrow, 402-464-5685. If y'all just want to keep gassing me up with some Royals thoughts, don't worry. We will take those all show long. But until then, we'll talk some Huskers as well. Nick, a 28-10 win for Nebraska over Purdue. Special teams, not great. Offense didn't finish drives. 0-5 on third down in the first half. Defense does not allow Purdue to score in the first half, but also does not pitch a fourth quarter shutout. There's lots of areas of the team that you can say needs to be better here, needs to be better there. We've seen some improvement, still not there yet. But like I said to you at the end of the segment, I don't expect this Nebraska team to be great, right? This is just a normal good enough college football team looks like. Their ups, their downs, their highs, their lows. Players come through sometimes, they don't other times. Yeah, you'd want to see Nebraska clean it up around the edges, and you hope that, after this week, right, they get a bye week before a surprisingly large test on the road at Indiana, which I don't know how many people foresaw this coming from Indiana, then Ohio State, UCLA before a bye week, or USC, then a bye week, right? There's a lot for Nebraska to clean up. I don't want to gloss over that, but this is just what a normal bowl-bound college football team looks like. You play well at times, you don't play well at others, and I'm not going to tell fans not to want better, but also just learn to love the team for what it is to some degree.
Yeah, I think you can always expect more, and it's okay to expect and want more, like you said. I think it's also important to kind of check yourself as well and say, okay, what are maybe some things that Nebraska's doing better this year than last year? I think the offense at times last season in 2023 was so putrid that it's hard to truly remember how tough it was to watch. Yeah, I honestly, that's one of the first things that I will say. I think the offense has taken a dramatic step forward. Maybe that is because of just and solely because of the quarterback. But I also think the wide receiver room, you sense a difference and more comfort when you're throwing the ball to a Jamal Banks right now, or even Isaiah Nair, even though Isaiah had that one that was ripped out of his hands against Illinois. But what I'm getting at for the most part, and to put numbers to it, Nebraska's averaging over 30 points of offense this year per game. Last year, 18. Now, granted, smaller sample size. You're just about halfway through the football season this year. Then you obviously we have a 12-game scope for last season. But even in those games against the Northern Iowa types and against the teams that Nebraska's played to this extent of this season, i.e. not Big Ten defenses, it's not like it was much better. You didn't have that 34-3, just comfortable. You felt fine about the victory type of ball game last year. You didn't, but you did this year. So I think it's important, just simply from a 5,000 foot view, you can say, okay, what's one thing for Nebraska that's better than what it was in 2023? How about just the scoring offense? One of the first statistics that are on CFBstats.com, scoring offense. You averaging 31 points essentially per game this year. Through 5 games, you averaged 18 last year. That's a dramatic difference.
It's a huge difference. I mean, the quarterback play is better, wide receiver play is better, running back play. You at least have some semblance of a rotation at running back now. The offensive line last year, don't forget, was a huge question mark going in. You didn't know what you were going to get out of a Donovan Raiola-led group. None of those places have been perfect, but they've all been better. And I don't want to say they've taken care of business. They've handled business, whatever. Like they've done basically what's expected of them. Even, putting up 24 points on Illinois, elite defense, probably not. Best defense on the schedule, that should have been enough to win.
Yeah.
The offense did absolutely more than enough there. And I thought this tweet from Mitch Sherman was worded pretty well. Nebraska football has been here before with an imperfect team that brings out the fear in its fans that it's all going to careen off the rails after a bad possession or a missed call or a mistake on special teams. Husker fans may be missing the reality of college football because Nebraska has been out of the national conversation for so long. Aside from the top 4 or 5 established powers, this is what you get. But guess what? Every team does this. Ohio State scuffled at times. Oregon didn't look great for much of the first 3 weeks of the season. Penn State beat Bowling Green by a touchdown, right? Nebraska hasn't won a game by less than 18 points this year. Think about that.
Do I dare say, and 402-464-5685, this could be one where I want to get your guys' thoughts on it too. Is Nebraska's margin for error widening? Are we seeing it widen in front of our eyes? And I don't know if I have an answer for that. That's honestly a question. Complete transparency just kind of came to my mind. I was kind of curious about it because what I'm getting at when you're reading that is, and frankly, Saturday is probably a good example of it. There were teams within the last 5 years, and yes, not coached by Matt Rule and his staff, but there were games in the last 5 years where if at any point it was 0-0, or if at any point Nebraska missed 3 field goals and did not force to that point at halftime any turnovers, you would have sat there and said, there's not a chance Nebraska wins this game. Nebraska's crumbling. And that, I think we played through that as spectators of Nebraska football on Saturday. You played through those scenarios of, oh boy, at halftime, we're all sitting there going, I would not be surprised to see Nebraska football crumble and see this be lost by that 6 to 10 point margin for Purdue, because Nebraska at one point, Purdue's going to have a 3-point or 7-point lead. Nebraska's going to try to go for it on a 4th down from their 30-yard line because they don't have a field goal unit, and they're going to be unsuccessful, and Purdue's going to be able to answer with that touchdown. Nebraska might get a touchdown in garbage time, but it's not going to be enough to win the game. And none of us would have been surprised. But yet, that's not what happened. Nebraska responded and made the adjustment that they needed to. It also probably helps and aids that Purdue's a really bad football team.
That part.
But for the most part, that hasn't mattered in years past because Nebraska's been the really bad football team.
Right. And again, not that Nebraska was perfect. I don't know if Nebraska was less bad or just better, but I do think you're onto something in that the margin for error does feel a little bit wider. Like Nebraska can get away with maybe a few more mistakes in years past. Now, you can't let them add up.
Yeah.
You can't rely on Dylan Raiola to be the savior. Otherwise, you're right back to where you started, right? Forcing Adrian Martinez to bail you out, forcing Casey Thompson and Trey Palmer to go deep, and that was your only source of offense the last time you went to West Lafayette, something like that. Or the Jeff Sims, Heinrich Harburg quarterback run game saying, hey, we're snapping the ball to you. Go make something happen. Yeah, Dylan Raiola, I think, is a big part of that. But so is veteran leadership from Jamal Banks and Isaiah Nair. Ben Scott, I think, has been decently solid, right? Being in the middle of that offensive line. You have a running back group that I know they all want more touches, but we haven't heard much complaining. They're all doing their job, playing their role, for the most part, taking advantage of it. And that's why I think, too, Nick, maybe the biggest moment of the game was Nebraska stopping Purdue on 3rd down and Ryan Walters settling for the field goal. If Purdue scores a touchdown there and Nebraska only matches with a touchdown, that game feels a lot different. But because Nebraska was able to hold up in the red zone or close to it, force that stop, and then march right down the field, score a touchdown, that's when Nebraska never looked back. And I don't think last year Nebraska either holds Purdue to a field goal or scores a touchdown in that situation.
I think you're right. Not to switch subjects. The Atlanta Braves just took the lead in the bottom of the 8th inning. They just had a bases clearing double from Ozzie Albies to take a 7-6 lead in the bottom of the 8th inning with 2 outs. A 2-out bases clearing double. Anyway,
that was so poorly played by the left fielder. My God.
Anyway, sorry. This is postseason baseball. This is going to be what it is all day for you tomorrow too.
It's going to be right up there.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough one for you, for maybe the listeners. No, I think like you made an interesting point where it's like you're going to be right back to where you are if you continue to like pile up the mistakes. I think that's a fair assessment. I would ask like Husker fans in recent years, and frankly, it's going to take just years for us to stop saying in recent years. But for the most part, there were games that it felt like if Nebraska committed a turnover, threw an interception, gave up a fumble, whatever it was in the first or early stages of the game, it just felt like they had to climb a mountain to get out of it and to be able to make up for their early mistake. It felt like they had to be so perfect early in the game and frankly, every single piece of the game that there was no margin for error. There was no room for them to be collegiate athletes. They had to be absolutely perfect every single snap, both offensively, defensively, and special teams. That doesn't make that, especially on offense this year. It doesn't feel like that's the case. And because of that on offense, it also translates to the defense, where if the defense gives up a touchdown like they did against Illinois to start the game, it didn't feel like it was this insurmountable lead that Nebraska had to climb Mount Everest to get out from under. It felt like, okay, you have, and maybe it's just the quarterback, and we're starting to see as college football observers how much a sustainable and productive quarterback can do for an offense.
Mm-hmm.
But we're actually seeing like this. Okay, if Nebraska is able to then just respond and run whatever variation of their offense that they want to run, if they can do it successfully, it's they have a chance to compete and come back in the game. But also, I think Nebraska fans have more confidence in the personnel that's out there, even in addition to just the quarterback. No slight to the other guys that played before. You have a lot of confidence in Jamal Banks and Isaiah Nair and even
Jalen Lloyd.
Yeah, even Jalen Lloyd and Ja'Cory Barney already. You have confidence in those guys. You didn't have maybe that same feeling about the entire offense 2-3 years ago.
And I think Dylan Raiola is the encapsulation of it because he has the ball in his hands basically every snap for the offense. I found myself a couple times over the first 5 games in reflexive mode of, oh crap, where's this pass going?
Yeah.
But then I look over, it's like, oh, Jamal Banks is in the middle of 4 defenders in a zone and they're all 5 yards away from him. Like he just sat down in the middle of the zone and Raiola layered the throw where it needed to be. Like, whoa, maybe I don't have to freak out every time the ball leaves his hands.
Yeah, it's like that audible gasp. Like I feel like collectively Husker Nation, when Dylan Raiola throws like on the run, there's like this audible gasp of what is going on? What are you doing? Until the camera pans and it happens to be either an accurate throw that Nebraska's receiver is hauling in, or it's out of reach of everybody in around the area. And it's like collectively then, as we all audibly gasped, we all audibly exhale.
Yeah.
Like, okay. And it's just this time heals all wounds type of thing. And it's just going to take, I think, time for Nebraska fans to, and ourselves included, maybe Austin, to, when we see that pass, it's not a, oh no, where's this going? Or, oh no, the play's been going on for an extended period of time. There's no way somebody's just sitting there open. This is a risk.
Yeah.
You go through all those things because we consistently saw that the last 5-10 years.
Right. I'm still not to the point where I'm fully comfortable, but that is no fault of Dylan Raiola.
It is not. No,
it's
a me problem.
Personal.
It's a me problem.
We should probably go to break here, have a short segment. You mentioned that Purdue is not great. Just how not great are the Boilermakers? Let's maybe put Nebraska's 28-10 win in context to wrap up hour 1. Plenty more Husker football and college football ahead in hour 2 as well.
Hi, this is Jay Foreman. Join me, Old School, live from Cornhusker Bank at 83rd and O Street this Friday for their Customer Appreciation Tailgate Party from 4 to 6 p.m. Larry the Cable Guy will join us during the show, and there's free food and refreshments. That is this Friday from 4 to 6 at Cornhusker Bank, 83rd and O Street.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Sponsored by John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning.
Your Lincoln forecast for today, we'll see lots of sunshine. It will be breezy and warm. An afternoon high around 90. Tonight, clear skies, and it will be breezy, low around 47. And tomorrow, we'll see lots of sunshine with cooler temperatures. An high expected around 71. Meteorologist Kyle Cluck for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Landmark Implement helps you put dirt in its place with increased accuracy and greater speed thanks to the John Deere Smart Grade. This fully integrated 3D grade control system boosts job site productivity and reduces labor costs with fewer passes and less wasted material, meaning more bids won and higher margins. No masts, no cables, just clear views of the job site. Visit your local Landmark Implement today and discover the profit-boosting power of the Smart Grade and experience the Landmark difference.
You already know that Select Plumbing takes care of all your plumbing needs, including water heaters, faucet repairs, leaks, drips, sump pumps, and more. Now, they're able to help you with your heating and air conditioning as well. Select Plumbing has recently expanded into residential heating and air, and they're excited to bring this new service to their complete list of plumbing services. Call to book an appointment today at 402-560-6197 or go to selectplumbinginc.com, serving Lincoln, Seward, Milford, and the surrounding areas.
Ticket listeners know a dream team when they see one. At Applied Connective, we've been in the game for 20 years and have developed a team of world-class leaders in all things IT. From cybersecurity and Microsoft products to physical security, audio, video, infrastructure, business phone systems, and anything in between, we'll help you leverage technology to become your most secure, efficient, and profitable. Head to our website to check out real reviews and testimonials and sign up for a free tech consultation. We can show you where you might be vulnerable, inefficient, or overspending. It's a game changer and it's totally free. Claim yours right now at appliedconnective.com.
When you need a new water heater, nothing beats the ProLine family of water heaters from A.O. Smith. ProLine models are built using commercial-grade components, meaning they're built to help you tackle your toughest days. No matter if you need a gas or electric model, A.O. Smith has a ProLine unit for you. A.O. Smith, innovation has a name. Call Patriot Plumbing at 402-464-7411 for a great deal on a water heater today. Again, that's 402-464-7411.
It's the fall sports season, and that means that the school year is back in session and you're planning road trips for Nebraska football games and following your kids around to their different events. Stop telling yourself you'll upgrade your car someday and do it now. Mullen Motors Lot is full of great vehicles to take home so you don't have to worry about your current car struggling through another season. Come check out their lot just north of 48th and Lake and find your next ride. As your fall schedule gets busy, you'll need a reliable way to get to your destinations. Mullen Motors.
No taglines, just quality vehicles. Mullen Motors.
Now back to On the Block with Strick and Austin on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
One more segment for hour one of On the Block. Austin Norman, Nick Sainer with you here for another hour or so. Here during On the Block, again brought to you by Nebco. What else happened? Oh, no.
2-run home run. The Mets have taken the lead 8-7 in the top of the ninth inning.
This game.
Francisco Lindor. 413-yard home run, or 413-yard feet.
That'd be a record.
413-foot home run to center field. Starling Marte also scored. The Mets have taken a 1-run lead in the top of the ninth inning.
Oh my gosh.
This is incredible. Who did they hit it off of? So good. They took Aaron Bummer.
It's not Bummer.
Yeah, Aaron
he
Bummer.
Closed out the eighth, right?
Yeah, Aaron Bummer came in and closed out the eighth. How about the Husker pitchers?
Woo.
Taking care of business. Aaron Bummer came in and closed out the eighth. Yeah, got the final 2 outs of the top of the eighth inning. This is, I think, Paul Johnson. Pierce Johnson came in and he blows the save.
Will you ever forgive Pierce Coppola?
No.
Will you ever?
No. I forgot about that, man. And you made me remind myself. Gosh dang it. So how about that though? With 1 out in the top of the ninth inning, how did they get their person? I swear, if it was a walk, it was not a walk. It was a hit.
Okay.
Anyway, so yeah, Pierce Johnson comes in, tries to close out, needs 3 outs to essentially, to give the Braves a playoff spot. And Francisco Lindor hits a 2-run home run to take the lead. The Mets, just if you're just now joining us, they were down 6-3 in the top of the eighth inning. They put up a 6 spot.
The Mets were down 3-1.
3-1. Thank you. 3-1. The Mets put up a 6 spot, take it 7-3 or 6-3. Goodness sakes.
They got 1 off of Schwelly as part of the 6th.
Yes, as part of the 6th. And then in the bottom of the eighth inning, the Braves put up a 4 spot to take a 7-6 lead. And now in the top of the ninth inning, the Mets just hit a 2-run home run with 1 out and take an 8-7 lead. Man.
And we still have 3 outs to go in the Braves half the inning.
Man.
And another game.
Shout out to Dirty Tony and the boys. Dirty Tony and the boys goes, the old 1,239-foot home run. Everyone loves a good 413-yard bomb. That's right.
Hey, Bryson DeChambeau here's 413 yards. He says challenge accepted.
That is true.
Man. 413 yards is about how much
way.
Purdue is allowing on the ground so far this year. It is a problem. Okay, actually, it's just 242 yards on 44 carries per game. But Nick, Purdue
Nebraska helped that average.
They did. But Purdue is not good. They average 92 penalty yards per game.
That is right.
Oh, by the way, they also don't have a takeaway on defense. They are the only program in the FBS to not have a defensive takeaway. Oh, and Tony White's 3-3-5 just had its first casualty. Graham Harrell out the door, Purdue offensive coordinator after averaging under 22 points per game. But you made a great point. The 22 points per game is a better rank nationally than the defense that's allowing 33 points per game.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. And like I'm sitting here, so they move on from Graham Harrell.
Yeah.
And it goes back, I kind of wonder, and I don't have this like intense tie-in with Purdue football, so I might just be reading the situation incorrectly. But it feels a lot like the hire who you can fire, because so Ryan Walters, for those that don't know, came from Illinois. He was he was the defense coordinator at Illinois when they had a really good defense under Brett Bielema their first year there. And it was the same year that this was 2 seasons ago now, where Deion Sanders in Colorado had the opening. Ryan Walters is an alum of Colorado, and his name was the most popular name to be floated around Boulder before Deion Sanders.
Yeah.
So there was a really good chance that Ryan Walters was going to go and be the head coach at his alma mater of the University of Colorado. He ends up replacing Jeff Brom, which this is a multi-layered discussion, because I think it speaks to how incredible of a job Jeff Brom did, and maybe how we don't view him as good as a good enough coach. Like we may be underappreciating Jeff Brom for college football. But with that, he goes to Purdue, gets his quarterback Hudson Card. Now this season hires Graham Harrell, and the defensive coordinator is Kevin Kane, who was with Ryan Walters at Illinois.
Yep.
So Ryan Walters brings a colleague with him to Purdue and has had his defensive coordinator job. Hires externally Graham Harrell, and now, after they start this season the way they've started, statistically very bad, they decide that the offense was the bigger problem. I don't know. It feels a lot like, what person's not connected to me? That's the vibe I get. And because how can you sit there and justify, our offense is bad, which it is, but on Saturday, I more saw the defense was really bad too.
What you saw against Notre Dame, what you saw against Oregon State.
Exactly.
I think you're onto something there, but I think if I'm Ryan Walters, the way I try to spin that to Mitch Daniels and company up there in the higher ups is, hey, I'm remaking this football team in my image and my identity, right? We talked about that a little bit on pregame, was that we talked about Wisconsin making the switch from run the ball, defense first, offensive line, all that good stuff, to this more air raid system with Fickle and Longo. Purdue's doing the opposite, going from Jeff Brom, who's a good, not elite college football coach, but he's an underrated guy. I'll agree with you there, to Ryan Walters, defense first and first-time head coach.
Yes.
Right? We talked about just Purdue's had a pretty quick trigger on head coaches. Now, none of them have been very good. So, I mean, that's if I'm Ryan Walters, the way I'm trying to spin it. But also, let's not forget that you don't have, George Karlaftis or Nick Skirton on this team anymore. Thieneman's good, not perfect. Jenkins, good, but got banged up and left. Oh, and you don't have a Gabe Jackas or a Seth Coleman or a Jerjon Newton or a Devin Witherspoon on this Purdue roster. So I can see maybe the argument of Ryan Walters and his bosses saying, okay, we know you're a first-time head coach. We're going to give you some leeway because this is what you want the identity of the team to be. But that's got to be, I think, verbalized to some extent externally.
Yeah.
Because right now, the narrative is, your defense is worse than your offense, right? You just got rid of a coordinator who, to be fair, has bounced around the block quite a bit from the NFL and in the college ranks in Graham Harrell, but that still has a pretty darn good reputation. Giving up on him just 4 games into the year, not necessarily a great look, especially for a second-year, first-time head coach.
So this is what Ryan Walters said. He said, quote, "I believe that we have a better team than we have been showing the last 3 weeks. There's a lot of football still to be played. We've played a quarter of the games. I feel like if I didn't do anything right now, it would be kind of like waving a white flag on the season, and nobody in that building is ready to do that." Similar to the whole Nebraska Scott Frost situation after Georgia Southern. He said, quote, "If a change was going to be made in December, it just didn't feel like it would be fair to draw that out for everyone involved. So after careful consideration, a lot of thought process and a lot of evaluation, I felt like it was best for the program, best for our team to give us a chance to go be who I believe we have the potential to be, was to make the very tough decision right now." Ryan Walters elevated offensive analyst Jason Simmons to be the offensive coordinator, whose biggest accomplishment is winning a state championship at Ben Davis High School, at Ben Davis, and is only in his second season at the college level. So,
okay. Bold move, Cotton. See if it pays off.
He will call the plays. Jason Simmons will. He will call the plays Saturday at Wisconsin. Yeah.
Good
I don't know.
luck, Boilers. Hey, we have to get to that Wisconsin game in hour 2 because, oh my gosh, Badgers.
It says based on games against FBS opponents, Purdue ranks at or near the bottom of all Power 4 programs. Yeah, that's sure. Similarly, the numerous factors triggered Walter's midseason action. Said, obviously, you want to be able to sustain drives and put points on the board. I think Hudson Card is a talented quarterback, and he hasn't looked like himself. We're not explosive, and as I think we can be, I think we're doing a good job running the football, but it's been hard to find easy throws and getting people in advantageous situations depending on coverages and the shell defensively that's being presented. We haven't played complimentary football.
You've
Probably. Yeah, I would say
played
so.
Football that's more an insult to anything. So let's go to break here. We got some more Nebraska Purdue thoughts as well in hour 2. What you got?
Ryan Walters says big name, big resume people have actually reached out about possibly joining the staff, and I have vetted a couple of people, so I am not ruling out the possibility of making new additions. Hello.
I will believe that when I see it.
He goes, I'm not sure about bringing someone in mid-season who does not know the roster and our system. Wow.
Okay.
That's a little bizarre twist at the end of it.
I could see Jeff Brom pulling that off. Makes me wonder who's pulling the strings for Ryan Walters in this case.
Yeah.
That'd
be interesting.
Oh my
that would
gosh,
be
that'd
so bizarre. Like that would be like Nebraska at this stage hiring Dana Holgerson.
Yeah.
And bringing in Dana Holgerson. That's instantly the name that I thought of. Like, okay, if this was Nebraska, who would it be?
Yeah.
Just because there were rumors preseason and now this.
Anything happening in Atlanta right now?
To this point, bottom of the 9th, 1 out. Ramon Laureano is as hitting. He's 3 for 4 today. There's a runner on first base with 1 out.
Just blast away from the ultimate roller coaster.
If that happens, I don't know what I would do.
We'll go to break.
Edwin
Diaz. Out what he can do.
Here's the thing: the Mets are making the bold decision to stick with Edwin Diaz now, who's been the best closer in baseball.
Yeah,
or one of the best, Edwin Diaz. But he allowed 3 hits in that bottom of the 8th inning and 2 earned runs. So he is not necessarily
trust your guys, I guess.
The Braves just stole second base. Runner on second, 1 out. Ramon Laureano is hitting 0-2 count to Laureano, who's 3 for 4 today.
We are going to go to break. Hopefully, we have some resolution on this game by the time we get back. More Nebraska Purdue thoughts as well. We want your thoughts. 402-464-5685. Hour 2 of On the Block. Straight ahead.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com.
On the internet.
KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
Hi, I'm State Senator Bo Ballard. I was born and raised right here in Lancaster County. I understand the value of hard work by being involved in our family business. I built my own company, creating jobs right here in our community. Nebraska families and business owners need lower taxes, more affordable health care, and a great education system. That is why I fought for the largest tax cut in Nebraska history, reduce the cost of healthcare, and help pass the biggest investment in our public schools. I'm Senator Bo Ballard, and I humbly ask for your vote on November 5th. Paid for by Ballard for Nebraska.
93.7 The Ticket. Fox KFXL weather. Sponsored by John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning.
Your Lincoln forecast for today, we'll see lots of sunshine. It will be breezy and warm, napping high around 90. Tonight, clear skies, and it will be breezy, low around 47. And tomorrow, we'll see lots of sunshine with cooler temperatures, napping high expected around 71. Meteorologist Kyle Cluck for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Riddle's Jewelry is excited to be celebrating 65 years. 65 years of so many incredible memories celebrating with each of your special moments. In celebration of the 65th Riddle's Jewelry anniversary, we will be offering up to 40% off all engagement rings and all diamond fashion jewelry. The excitement doesn't stop there. Riddle's Jewelry is also offering 18 months, 0% interest and $0 down financing on all qualifying purchases. Riddles Jewelry has always been known for incredible customer service, one of the largest selections of engagement rings, and don't forget about the on-site jeweler. Come celebrate with us at Riddles Jewelry, your one-stop diamond shop with exclusive Levian jewelry, Pandora Charm jewelry, and more. All at Riddles inside Gateway Mall.
Hi, this is Jay Foreman. Join me, Old School, live from Cornhusker Bank at 83rd and O Street this Friday for their customer appreciation tailgate party from 4 to 6 p.m. Larry the Cable Guy will join us during the show, and there's free food and refreshments. That is this Friday from 4 to 6 at Cornhusker Bank, 83rd and O Street.
When you need a new water heater, nothing beats the ProLine family of water heaters from A.O. Smith. ProLine models are built using commercial-grade components, meaning they're built to help you tackle your toughest days. No matter if you need a gas or electric model, A.O. Smith has a ProLine unit for you. A.O. Smith, innovation has a name. Call Patriot Plumbing at 402-464-7411 for a great deal on a water heater today. Again, that's 402-464-7411.
IT issues wreaking havoc on your day? It's time to hire the experts. It's time to hire Hamilton. When it comes to your business, you don't have time to worry about network security, data backup, and protection, or support when devices slow down or stop working. At Hamilton, we ensure that your technology is up to speed and works as hard as you do. Don't let IT issues slow you down. You deserve better. Hire Hamilton at hamiltonisbusiness.com.
Experience a cleaner tomorrow with Niederhaus Refuse. Whether it's weekly residential pickups, large-scale commercial disposals, recycling, or roll-off, Niederhaus's team is here with reliable, efficient service and the most advanced solutions. Discover the difference that a committed and experienced waste management company can make. Niederhaus Refuse has been in business for over 100 years and is family-owned and operated since 1921. Call Niederhaus Refuse at 402-475-8361 and visit their website at nbrefuselincoln.com to learn more or sign up for your service today.
Garage doors can be expensive. Are you keeping yours in the best condition possible? This is Cameron Hall with Doors Plus. Doors Plus is a locally owned business that prides itself on the fast, reliable, and friendly service. Doors Plus offers flexible scheduling so you can book an appointment that fits your busy day. My team and I will come out to your property, both commercial and residential, and provide you with the necessary information you need to make sure your garage door is in working and smooth condition. Give Doors Plus a call today at 402-590-5800 to book an appointment and learn more about our preventative maintenance plans. Doors Plus, garage doors, and more.
This is On the Block with Strick and Austin. Nebraska Basketball Hall of Famer and 9-year NBA vet, Eric Strickland.
Strickland for three. And you're going to go out of here as the Big 8 tournament champion.
Middle school basketball coaching legend and Duke basketball shooting coach in his mind, Austin Orman. Coming at you live from the heart of Lincoln, America. On air and online at theticketfm.com. Presented by NEBCO. This is On the Block with Strick and Austin.
Well, it's all coming up Royals. The New York Mets are in the postseason.
That's right.
The Braves go meekly in the ninth after a leadoff base runner. But Nick, here's the thing: if you look at it from the Royals' perspective, right, you get Baltimore.
That's right.
Houston is on the other side. Now it's not the exact same path, but if you're looking for echoes of 2014 and 15, as a Royals fan, you want the Mets in the playoffs. Still will play game 162 because if the Mets beat the Braves, Diamondbacks pop them bottles, baby.
Austin, here's the thing that I continuously, we always get reminded every postseason baseball, every postseason, essentially, is that every decision that a manager makes carries so much weight.
Yeah.
Whether it's in the World Series like it was with Kevin Cash a couple of years ago.
I was just going to say.
Whether it was with Kevin Cash of the Tampa Bay Rays a couple of years ago, or DP just mentioned it, with the Braves today taking Schwellenbach out with 94 pitches. Whatever it could be, and this is essentially still technically the regular season. This is game now about to be 162 for these two ball clubs, or it's a decision you made in game 161. Every decision carries so much weight, because if it does not work out, then you have exactly what we're doing right now, or exactly what the Braves did with Blake Snell, going, what would have happened? Or Terry Collins and Matt Harvey and the New York Mets a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Like every single decision, and do you want to steal a base? Do you want to swipe a bag? Do you want to do a pinch hit? Like whatever it is, and you can feel the pressure just from watching from afar. The broadcaster, we were watching the last couple of outs, the broadcaster said it perfectly. If you're in the stadium and a fan of the Mets and Braves, you're holding your breath.
This is torture.
It's torture. But if you're a casual baseball fan, it's wonderful.
I want to mainline it.
Oh, this was incredible. It was so much fun.
Game.
And we still have one more that now the Braves see now, because now it's, can the Braves stay calm enough to get the job done? The Mets, the Mets are not smooth sailing, but they're flying easy, right? The Braves, do they tighten up and try to force things? Because when you do that, we know it from just experience of watching sports, and this is the same across all sport. If you tense up, if you tighten up, you're going to make mistakes, and that can't happen when your whole entire postseason opportunity is on the line on one game.
So Arizona can only be the 6 seed.
Yes.
The Mets can be the 5 or the 6. So if Atlanta wins, they're the 5 seed. The Mets are the 6. If the Mets win again, they are the 5 with the Diamondbacks as the 6. The difference there is the 5 seed will go to San Diego. The 6 seed will go to Milwaukee. Nick, if you are the Mets, are you playing for seeding? Would you rather go and play San Diego, or do you try to rest guys, say, hey, outcome doesn't really matter to us, we're happy we're in the postseason,
I don't know.
go from there?
I think you try to win this game.
Okay.
I think you go for the sweep. I do.
Spite a division rival, potentially.
Yeah. I think there's that piece of it. And also, there's something to be said about last year's World Series team. Just knocking them out. The Arizona Diamondbacks just posted on Twitter a meme of Patrick Starr with Mets gear with the hashtag of just "Let's go Mets." So the Arizona Diamondbacks.
They also had one earlier with the summoning circle
funny.
of candles with a broom in the middle, summoning a sweep.
Social media teams, man, they're good nowadays.
Did you see what the White Sox were doing the last few days?
Yes.
Flames laptop shut.
Yeah. We don't want to talk about the score.
No, we do not.
They probably didn't want to talk about 121 of them either. So
right. This is On the Block, brought to you by Nebco. We will be stream only at least the next 2 days with the Royals on the road in Baltimore for postseason baseball. That'll start at 2:30. First pitches will be at 3. So first segment of the shows will be live on radio before we send you over to the Royals over the air. Of course, streams will be up and running for you. Big thanks to Nebco for sponsoring the show. Starter Heyman Jewelers as well. They sponsor the video streams as well as our text line at 402-464-5685. Real quick before we get on to football, Nick, the every out, every game matters.
Yeah.
As a Royals fan, I think of a game that's been brought up a lot on social media. You mentioned it. Royals down 8-0 to Seattle. Come back and walk them off in the Nelson Velasquez fielder's choice. You're down 8 runs. You beat Seattle by 1 game in the standings. You split the season series with them, so you're in. I think of MJ Melendez. Had his first career hit in a pinch hit situation. He was 0 of like you're 13 or 30 in his career. Hits a go-ahead home run against Detroit to win a game for the Royals. Adam Frazier robs a home run against Detroit earlier in the year that ends up being the difference, and he hits the go-ahead solo home run in that game. Right there, you're at least flip-flopping positions, if not out of the playoffs. So all of that is right there.
What about, each out, it's not over till it's over. Their 2014 AL wildcard comeback.
10 years ago today.
That's right.
10 years ago today!
Against John Lester.
Yeah.
And the Oakland Athletics.
Yeah.
How about that name? John Lester and the Oakland Athletics. Salvi was the hero in that one. Ned Yost was the manager.
Here's another parallel. Christian Colon had that chopper.
Yes.
With a broken thumb.
Man.
Guess who's maybe back from a broken thumb tomorrow?
Vinny Pasquantino.
Vinny Pasquantino. I'm not saying, I'm just saying. There are connections to be made.
Always Royal.
There are through lines. It's true. We'll talk plenty more Royals tomorrow. Trust me, you're not
Stricky's listening going, dang, man, that's not the Royals.
He knows what he's in for, but he doesn't at the same time. So, on the Husker football train, if you thought the Nebraska kicking situation was bad, take a look at Penn State and Washington. We'll get to them coming up next segment. Nick, this is where I'm curious to see what Matt Rule does with special teams, right? Punt return, fine. Kick return, not a lot there. Kickoff, whatever. But 2 more missed field goals. 2 blocked field goals, or 3 more missed field goals. 2 blocks and 1 miss out of John Hull. Not completely all his fault. And this is where, as we get done talking about Ryan Walters firing Graham Harrell, I feel like most coaches would have axed their special teams coordinators by now. But Ed Foley has been with Matt Rule for 10 of the 12 seasons that Matt Rule has been a head coach. And we know Matt Rule is a loyal guy. In your opinion, is it time for Matt Rule to just drop the axe because someone has to take accountability? Or do you see Matt Rule sticking to his principles, being loyal, and maybe if a move is coming, it's over for the offseason?
I think it's the latter of those two. I think through all the criticism, I don't want my criticism of Nebraska's special teams to be misconstrued or miscommunicated with the fact that I think Ed Foley should lose his job. I think that ultimately it's the same type of conversation where, you need to teach the technique, you need to teach the skill, but at some point you need dudes that can go out and perform the task and get the job done. And for the most part, Nebraska's they've had the coaches in place. It's just been a lot of times it's the players and their inability to execute. Whether you're talking offense, defense, or special teams, like coaches they can teach you how to not fumble, but they can't be the ones to actually hold on to the ball type of thing for punt returners. I think punt returners been fine. I think Isaiah Garcia Castaneda has kind of embraced that role that he's in.
Yeah.
But with kicker, it's almost like I sit here and I tweeted out Nebraska since the start of the 2023 season is 13 of 23 on field goals as a team. I mean, think about that. 13 of 23. You are 57% on field goals. And we're not talking about field goals that are longer than 40 yards. We're not talking about field goals that are longer than 30 yards. We're talking about the 21 yarders. We're talking about the 27 yarders.
Extended
we're talking
extra
about
points.
Yeah. Like Nebraska, I can't remember the last time Nebraska attempted a 50+ yard field goal off the top of my head. Maybe Alvano attempted one. But
how long was Lane McCallum's against Colorado? Was that 50?
I don't think it was 50. The last one I truly remember is Connor Culp against Oklahoma in 2021.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
That's the last one that I truly remember, the 51-yarder that he actually made.
Yeah.
However, so through this, like Nebraska, I feel like is not asking their specialists to do these extraordinary things.
No.
Therefore, like there's no excuse on why it shouldn't be better.
Connor Culp was 20 of 20 on extra points and 13 of 15 on field goals as recently as 2020.
Yeah. Yeah. And so that's my thing. We're not even asking for Nebraska to have a perfect kicker.
No.
Like you don't have to go 17 of 17 on field goals, but on the ones that are within 35 or 40 yards that are now qualified as chip shots. I mean, and I get the NFL kickers are best of the best. You have NFL dudes that are going out there routinely and making 55-yard shots.
Yeah.
And it's like, you're not even asking for that anywhere close to that. Like Michigan has now moved into a new kicker and they found a dude that can hit 57-yarders.
And Illinois has 2 guys.
Yes. There's no reason Nebraska couldn't be that. So I tweeted it out. At some point, there has to be accountability. And what form that is, I don't know. But there's got to be accountability about like evaluating talent, figuring out who's the right person for the job, both at coaching and for the place kicking duties, because Nebraska can't find one guy to do the job,
right?
Where other teams have multiple that can.
1199 says Alvano attempted from 55 last year.
Okay, there you go.
There you go. We'll take your word for it. Let's switch gears to the defense here real quick. You might know this offhand, you might not. How many rushing yards per game do you think Nebraska's allowing right now?
I think it's like 82.
They're at 85.4.
Okay. Yeah.
That is a much lower number than I would have guessed, right? Yes, it's obviously brought down by the fact that college football includes sacks in rushing yards. Okay, in Colorado, not really making an attempt to run the ball, certainly deflating it as well. But Nick, if the biggest issue for this team is the run defense and it's allowing 85 yards per game, I don't know if I find myself not worried enough about it because of how Northern Iowa moved the ball, how Illinois did it at will, especially in the fourth quarter against Nebraska, or if this is another aspect of, am I trying too hard to nitpick? Because they haven't allowed a rushing touchdown this year.
Yeah.
Like, that's still
real. Like, I don't know what my concern level is for the rush defense. Scale of 1 to 10, where's your concern level?
In terms of rush defense, it's less than like a 5.
Okay.
I would say if we can have this conversation about Nebraska's like front 7.
Yeah.
I think in the confidence of Nebraska's front 7 as the season goes on, my concern has increased over these first 5 games.
Mm-hmm.
There's been some inconsistencies and lack of production from some of those guys. Outside of John Bullock, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And Jamari Butler's been limited.
Yeah.
But we haven't heard much about like a Cam Lenhart this year. We haven't heard much. Ty Robinson's been good, but it's one of those things. If we heard so much, I think in the offseason, we got it drilled into our minds about Nebraska having these potential 2 NFL guys on the front line. And it hasn't necessarily felt that way. It doesn't feel like Colorado to a certain extent. Yes. And the sack numbers would tell you that in that game. But it hasn't felt like Nebraska can generate pressure whenever they want. And which is still a necessity at the college level.
And those guys aren't necessarily dominating games, right? They're not dictating the outcome of events.
Did we hear Nash's name more than once or twice against Purdue?
Not that I remember. I mean, Nash Hutmacher had 3 tackles. 2 of them were solos. Nothing in the backfield.
And maybe I need to go back and rewatch like the Purdue game, because it could also be an instance of like Damian Daniels' senior year where, and I love Damian Daniels. He was in here a couple weeks ago. Where he didn't get talked about a whole lot and he wasn't sacking the quarterback a whole lot, but he was doing a lot of the dirty work for the linebackers to create space for them to make plays. So maybe that's an instance with Nash Hutmacher right now. Is he doing the dirtier work that we're not recognizing so that it frees up John Bullock to go make a tackle in the backfield, or it frees up a Jamari Butler, or now Javen Wright if he's healthy, or Mekhi Bear. Does it free some of those guys up as maybe the outside backers to go put pressure on the quarterback? I'm not sure. But the way, once again, that we were presented with Ty Robinson and Nash Hutmacher this offseason was that those were 2 guys that were in the interior piece of the defensive line that sometimes could even line up on the outside in a 3 down front and provide pressure off the edge to the quarterback.
Neither one of those guys has proven to be a scheme wrecker consistently, but you would think they would take a next step over an offseason.
Yeah.
Right. And someone says, Girl Bear says, maybe Nash struggled to beef back up from wrestling. No, he's back to where he was, right? Maybe still remembering how to use it, but you're 5 games into a 12-game schedule. That's not an excuse anymore, right? If you're not in full football shape by now or remembering how to use your weight, yeah, he's a college student. I get it. But guess what? You're Nash Hutmacher. You're supposed to be. You're not performing like that. Ty Robinson isn't necessarily taking over games. And 0965 says, maybe it's because they only play 3 down linemen, so they're taking on double teams every time. That kind of gets to what you're saying. But I've had enough conversations with Jay on Old School to say, guess what? They're not just playing 3 down linemen. They'll have 4 down fronts. They'll stand different guys up. They'll move them around, because Tony White would be doing his guys a disservice. His 2 best players supposedly on the defensive line, you're doing them a disservice if you're not moving them around and putting them in positions to succeed.
You're right.
Right? They aren't scheme-proof players, but which means they need to be schemed for. But also, even if they're not being put in the exact optimal position to succeed, you're upperclassmen.
Yeah.
You're as big, if not bigger, than a lot of these offensive linemen you're going against, and you're not making plays. Like you said, really the only linebacker that's consistently splashing is John Bullock.
Yeah.
Bayer's hit or miss. Sherman, it felt like a miracle when he had a sack. Willis McGahee has come in and spot roll. James Williams, Kai Wallen, guys like that aren't consistently making an impact. And that to me is what's worrying. If it's true that Ty Robinson and Nash Hutmacher are facing double teams all the time, the hope would be someone else would be stepping up and making splash plays instead of them. They're just not necessarily getting that.
So here's what's interesting. So I'm trying to look up. So Nash has 1 sack on the season.
And 2 tackles for loss.
Yeah, 2 TFLs.
Ty has 4 TFLs and 3 sacks.
So, like, for example, Boise as a team this year, Boise State has 20 sacks.
Woo!
As a team. They're averaging 5 sacks a game. And once again, we talk about like the pressure in Nebraska, where they land nationally in terms of sacks. Nebraska is 8th in the country, 16 sacks on the season. A bulk of those came against the Buffs.
Yeah.
But look at that then. 1 out of 16 is from a guy that was talked about being playing on Sundays.
Yeah.
And in terms of like pass rush, and this is not just like a bag on Nash Hutmaker conversation, because I think Nash is a vital piece of Nebraska's defense, still is. But this is more of a front four conversation that these last 3 weeks post Colorado, you take away the Colorado game, how do you feel about Nebraska's pressure? The ability to generate pressure. That's been one of the biggest negative pieces about Nebraska's defense in general since Randy Gregory, was that they don't have a guy that can basically get to the passer at will. Whenever they want to, you can put those double teams on a dude. We saw it once against Purdue. I think it was actually on the fumble of Hudson Card, that because did he fumble or was it just a sack? Ty Robinson blew through a double team.
Yeah.
So like we've seen it to where, to that texter's point about lining up 3 down, like they still have gotten to the quarterback at times Ty Robinson has, Jamari Butler has. But to this point, like once again, we're talking about the front four, the front defensive line generating pressure. The rush defense is good, but I wonder if does Nebraska, what's it going to take to get back to a guy that can get to the passer whenever they want?
And James brings up a fair point, right? Nebraska had 5 sacks against Purdue.
They did.
But it didn't necessarily feel like it, right? It didn't feel like an impactful 5 sacks. And that's where, again, this is all just anecdotal, right? We can look up the numbers and say, yeah, Nebraska had 5 against Purdue. And you're right on that, James, right? So thanks for reminding us of that fact. But
it's completely valid too. This is where we go once again. It's all encompassing of what you said earlier, Austin, of we are nitpicking every little detail, but at the end of the day, Nebraska is 4-1.
Right.
And we have to appreciate and be, you know what? Hey, applaud them, pat on the back, because to this point, you've won 4 of your 5 games.
Yeah. Where's the sack on 3rd and 7 that takes it to 4th and 14 and makes the other team punt?
Kicks it out of field goal range.
Exactly. Right. And yes, some of it's situational and it's probably nitpicking.
Yes.
But I'm kind of with Brad. The defense just hasn't looked right all year, felt right, because the results are still there for this defense. 31 points to Illinois, not ideal, but that was a really good game plan by Illinois. I think that's more of a credit to Illinois than anything to bash Nebraska's defense for necessarily. But at the same time, it wasn't a comfortable 3 points against Northern Iowa. The late touchdown from Purdue makes things feel a lot worse, because I think the defense played one of its better halves of the year in the first half, right? Purdue struggled to move the ball in the first half, and yet they still ended up with 10 points on the board, and I don't think it was a 10-point Purdue offensive performance.
And it's always hard to, I think we have to be careful here, Austin, because we can't get too in the well of sack numbers specifically.
Sure.
Because coverage sacks play a part in this. If a quarterback starts to run and is sacked behind the line, it counts. Is that
was Bullocks on Altmaier.
Right, exactly,
Yeah.
right. So are they true sacks? I think it's important. Nebraska, 11 of their 16 sacks have come against Colorado and Purdue. And I think this is where, once you start facing off against maybe some better teams with better offensive line units in the Big Ten Conference specifically, we're going to be able to get a better assessment of this. But Nebraska had 6 against Colorado, who is currently 131st in the country in sacks allowed. And then they had 5 against the team in Purdue that is 97th in the country in terms of sacks allowed. Now you look ahead at teams that Nebraska's about to play. Ohio State has allowed 3 sacks all season long. Rutgers has allowed 4 sacks all season long. Iowa, 4 sacks all season long. Those are just 3 of your teams that are still on your schedule that are dramatically better up front than what you faced. So yeah, the 11 of 16 sacks, the numbers can look good or at least serviceable to this extent, but that's what it's supposed to look like. Now we're about to see, okay, can these guys take it up another level? Can they kick it up another notch when they're facing a Rutgers this weekend? Because Nebraska's familiar with Ethan Kaliak-Manis, but not only that piece of it, who he does present some sort of a running ability, not a dramatic one, but still some sort of a running ability. But then also they have one of the best running backs in the Big Ten Conference, if not the best, in Kyle Managai.
Speaking of Rutgers, I don't know how they won that game against Washington. Well, I do, but are you worried about it? Are you worried about Rutgers coming to Lincoln and winning? We'll talk about that throughout the week. There's a lot of interesting games in the Big Ten over the weekend. Let's go to break, walk you through those when we get back.
It's the fall sports season, and that means that the school year is back in session, and you're planning road trips for Nebraska football games and following your kids around to their different events. Stop telling yourself you'll upgrade your car someday and do it now. Mullen Motors lot is full of great vehicles to take home, so you don't have to worry about your current car struggling through another season. Come check out their lot just north of 48th and Lake and find your next ride. As your fall schedule gets busy, you'll need a reliable way to get to your destinations. Mullen Motors.
No taglines, just quality vehicles. Mullen Motors.
Hi, this is Jay Foreman. Join me, Old School, live from Cornhusker Bank at 83rd and O Street this Friday for their Customer Appreciation Tailgate Party from 4 to 6 p.m. Larry the Cable Guy will join us during the show, and there's free food and refreshments. That is this Friday from 4 to 6 at Cornhusker Bank, 83rd and O Street.
Fox KFXL weather, sponsored by John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning.
Your Lincoln forecast for today, we'll see lots of sunshine. It will be breezy and warm, an afternoon high around 90. Tonight, clear skies, and it will be breezy, low around 47. And tomorrow, we'll see lots of sunshine with cooler temperatures, and high expected around 71. Meteorologist Kyle Kleck for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Hi, Sean Callahan here for Koppel Chevrolet GMC, and we are out of the gate for September with a very special GMC sales offer. We must move out all new GMC truck inventory fast. So right now at Koppel, we are offering true GM supplier pricing for everyone. Yes, you heard right. True GM supplier pricing on all GMC Sierras. That's over $12,000 off on select models. That's GM supplier pricing, $12,000 off on Sierras. Do not wait. Stop on in or check us out online at koppelcars.com.
With the Planet Fitness Black Card, you don't just get a great workout, you get a great perk out because your membership is packed with perks. For $1 down and $24.99 a month, you'll get perks like access to any of our 2,400 clean and spacious locations. Bring a friend anytime and both work out with tons of equipment that'll give you that big fitness energy. Relax in the Black Card Spa and more. Work out and perk out with the PF Black Card. Join for just $1 down and $24.99 a month.
Hurry, this deal ends soon.
See Home Club for details.
You can help fight deadly diseases like RSV and influenza while getting paid for your time. Velocity Clinical Research is now seeking clinical trial participants in your area. Participants can receive compensation for study-related time. No health insurance is needed to join. Find a study near you at velocitytrials.com. That's velocitytrials.com.
This is James Harrell with NP Dodge Real Estate. When I became a licensed realtor, I wanted a brokerage that would help me grow in my new career. I found that in Lincoln First Realty. When Lincoln First was acquired by NP Dodge, the training and support I received only got better. I love knowing I have the power of the NP Dodge brand behind me. I would recommend NP Dodge to new agents looking to jumpstart their real estate career and to current agents who want to take their business to the next level.
Expand your career with NP Dodge. Call Eric at 402-434-2222.
Load up on meat and more this summer at the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese at 84th and Havelock. This week's special through October 1st is spend $50, get one beef stew free, limit of one. Also, $1 off all drinks. Locations at 84th and Havelock, 30th and Yankee Hill, and now 85th and Highway 2 in Lincoln, or 168th and Maple in Omaha. Get to the Mercado today for the best meat in town.
General Fire and Safety has been keeping Lincoln businesses and commercial structures safe for more than 50 years. From a simple fire extinguisher to full fire suppression systems, Lincoln has trusted General Fire and Safety to provide top-of-the-line products, installation, and maintenance. If you're starting a new business in a brand new building, call on General Fire and Safety to help you plan a fire safety system that fits the specific needs of your business, employees, and customers. Call General Fire and Safety today at 402-261-0116.
Now back to On the Block with Strick and Austin on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
We're back on the block. Appreciate y'all being part of the show. 402-464-5685. Plenty to get to here in the next 20, 25 minutes or so. Off Norman, Nick Sainer with you. Nick, I was telling you during the break, it's days like today where you just feel like you're drinking out of a fire hose. Like, it was a pretty interesting NFL weekend, and we usually get to that on Tuesdays anyways. But a lot to get to from Nebraska, Purdue. Lots going on in Major League Baseball, including your National League Cy Young frontrunner Chris Sale being scratched from his scheduled start due to back spasms in a game that the Braves need to win to make the playoffs. Yeah. Grant Holmes, the moment is yours, young man.
Once again, here you have it, where every single moment and every single decision that you elected to go with in game one of the day has a lasting effect. Because now every Braves fan is sitting there going, what if they would have stuck with Schwelly? Mm-hmm. Or what if they put this guy in instead? Or if they would have given Aaron Bummer an opportunity first? Yeah. It is all what if now, and it makes you feel less confident in what's to come because your front runner for the NL Cy Young is not going to be able to give you the opportunity to win. I'm so thankful that I am not one of them, the fan of the Braves. I wonder what Terrell, what do you think? What do you think Terrell Farley's doing right now?
Sleeping.
So Terrell
playing Call of Duty.
Terrell did call Rico after in the bottom of the 8th inning.
Oh,
and said, "How about them Braves?" Little did he know what the top of the 9th inning had in store: a 2-run Francisco Lindor go-ahead home run.
I just saw a tweet from Jason Stark that I have to get pulled up just because this was pretty crazy. I don't know. Did I like it? I thought I did. Oh yeah, here we go. Okay, so the Braves had a 93.5% win probability when the top of the 8th started. The Mets had a 92.1 win probability when the bottom of the 8th started. And the Braves had a 91.3% win probability when the top of the 9th started.
Dude, and this
baseball.
This isn't even officially postseason baseball either. If this is just a precursor of what's to come, first of all, tomorrow's going to be fun. Tomorrow starts the wild card days.
Yep.
But the rest, man, this is when it gets, dramatic and tense as just an observer.
Yeah. I want to get to some national college football stuff here in the next 5 to 9 minutes or so.
Just 9 minutes.
Georgia Bama delivered, right?
Yeah.
That was an insane game. Ohio State, curb stop Michigan State. How about this though, Nick? Kentucky, one of the wildest resumes in the sport, blasted by South Carolina, but they hold Georgia to 13 points and lose by 1. And then they go on the road and beat number 6 Ole Miss.
Yeah.
Does this tell you more about, hey, maybe Kentucky, we shouldn't have written them off? Or is this more of the same from Ole Miss?
I think this is Kentucky. I genuinely think so. I think Ole Miss, this was really the first team that was able to stop Ole Miss, the high-powered offense of the Rebels. Kentucky, this is like Mark Stoops. Like, this is how he's been able just to kind of hang around and why his name always gets floated for maybe job upgrades.
Like maybe A&M.
Yeah, maybe A&M, Nebraska, I guess, if you call Kentucky to Nebraska an upgrade. Like I sit here, though, like this is the win now this year that whatever happens going forward, Kentucky could go 6-6 and barely make a bowl game. But guess what? Things are still okay because you got a top 10 win on the road. This is like what Mark Stoops always does, to where it's like, hey, I've done a good enough job to stick around. And hey, you know what? Let my agent throw out that I'm interviewing for this next job with A&M, or I'm interviewing for this job just so I can get an extension and get more money to secure my future with Kentucky. That's what this feels like. Now, he got the extension last year and got more money last year after, Texas A&M didn't want him, but they did want him. And then, so his agent does his job and they get him an extension and more money, and Mark Stoops isn't going anywhere. But seriously, Kentucky could finish 7-5, and you would sit there and go, well, he can still at least hang his hat on that. In 2024, it wasn't a complete failure because they were able to knock off a top 10 team on the road.
Arizona goes on the road and beats Utah. There's another one of those top 10 upsets.
Noah Fafita effect.
Hey, Tedoroa McMillan remains that dude. Isaac Wilson, 280 yards passing, but the turnovers came back to bite Utah.
Yeah.
Did Minnesota get robbed against Michigan? Of the win, maybe not. Of a chance at the win, absolutely.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Especially, on the onside kick, which Michigan, man, like, I just think their offense is so one-dimensional. It is so one-dimensional. Even with Davis Warren at quarterback, which is what it started with, right? Even with Davis Warren, they still didn't have much of a passing element. Like I wonder what this offense would look like if they didn't have Colston Loveland as a target in the receiving game. They realized, I can't remember who it was against. Was it Arkansas State? Or maybe it was their first conference game.
Arkansas State was when Warren had 3 incompletions.
Yes.
They were all interceptions.
Yes, they were all interceptions. Whoever Michigan played after, I think it was
after Texas.
It would have been
that was Arkansas State after Texas.
Okay, so then they had a bye before this week. Must have.
I think so.
I can look this up real quick here. Michigan football schedule. So because it was one of those games, I believe.
No, they beat USC last week.
USC.
Yeah,
that's who it was. They realized they can still run the ball.
Yeah.
And in addition to Donovan Edwards, right? They have a backup guy as well that's pretty good. They just feel so one-dimensional.
Yeah.
Like
they feel like souped up Iowa.
Like they were able to be Michigan, and yeah, they were able to beat Michigan or USC, but like going on the road at Washington this week, if Washington would have beaten Rutgers last weekend, which they should have, and these are all hypothetical if scenarios. But like I would not be surprised in the least if Washington beats Michigan. I wouldn't. I wouldn't be. It's a 6:30 kickoff. Like Michigan, they're the 10th team in the country. Doesn't feel like they're capable of being a playoff team right now. Like it feels like if they were to face off, there is a dramatic difference in tiers with college football on the national level.
Yeah.
You saw Georgia, Alabama. If either one of those teams played Michigan, it feels like, and we saw it with Texas. It feels like Michigan would not even stand a chance.
Michigan feels like that quintessential regular season team that beats up on a division it can, win or finish second in with a good enough record. But the underlying numbers and the way they go about it says, no, not legit there. USC booed off the field at halftime, down 21-10 to Wisconsin. But the Trojans pitch a second half shutout, 2 touchdowns in the third, 2 touchdowns in the fourth. They win it 38-21. I don't know what to make of USC. They confound me, Nick.
Yeah. And in a game that Zachariah Branch wasn't even your leading receiver.
No.
For USC, Zachariah Branch had one rush. He had 4 catches for 44 yards. Potentially one of the fastest guys in college football, Zachariah Branch, and Miller Moss didn't need him. Like he didn't need him. It feels this USC team, and maybe Saturday was a perfect example of it, the same way we talk about Nebraska, where they don't need Dylan Raiola to go make the spectacular play because they have depth and they have a couple of different options across the field. That's kind of what it feels like with USC. In years past, or with Caleb Williams mostly, with Caleb Williams the last 2 years, it's always been kind of a wild card. Like, what is Caleb Williams going to do? What spectacular, most of the time spectacular, what spectacular play is Caleb Williams going to do? This year, they don't have Miller, despite how good Miller Moss is, he's not Caleb Williams. And so they've had to figure out ways to sustain and have a stable offense. And they've done so. They have a little bit of a rushing attack with Marks in the backfield, but then also they have a couple of receivers, and they have a guy in Miller Moss who just doesn't make a whole lot of mistakes. And he maybe not flashy, but they still throw the ball around the yard. They still have some really good athletes, and they bring in the UCLA defensive coordinator, and now they have a defense that is at least able to maybe stop the bleeding at times.
That's exactly what it did against Wisconsin. I don't know if you want to credit just the normal quote unquote halftime adjustments or whatever, but last year's USC team gets trampled in the second half by Wisconsin.
Yes.
Maybe that's a game that ends up with both teams in the 30s, but Wisconsin wins. Credit USC's defense for the turnaround there. Notre Dame forces 3 turnovers against Louisville, first 3 of the season, but the Cardinals make it a 1-possession game. Any comments on your beloved Golden Domer squeaking it out?
The Notre Dame Fighting Irish, man. Here's the thing, Riley Leonard, that whole Duke team last year feels so weird because Mike Elko isn't having the most success or maybe what they expected instantly at Texas A&M. But he was obviously on the hot, the coaching hot board, if you will. Riley Leonard was an experienced quarterback in the portal, and he knew. I think he went in the portal with a no contact list. or no contact tag. He knew he was going to Notre Dame before it even started.
Mhm.
And so he ends up obviously going to Notre Dame. And you want to talk about a little one-dimensional offense? Notre Dame is. They don't have much of a passing attack. Jeremiah Love in the backfield is really, really good. But it's that Notre Dame defense that's going to. But then once again, that goes on to, like, let's talk Jeff Brom.
Yeah.
Like, Jeff Brom wins at Purdue, which multiple coaches that have surrounded Jeff Brom's time at Purdue have shown it is not easy to win.
No.
He did it without a flashy quarterback.
And did it pretty quick.
And then was able to recruit to a certain extent as well to West Lafayette. And now goes to Louisville, where there's a little bit more pressure, obviously, because of his history being the quarterback there and his family ties to Louisville. Goes and grabs Tyler Shuck out of the transfer portal. Right? It's fine. It's not a flashy name. But now they go into Notre Dame and they're able to make it a one-possession ball game
with 5.5 to go.
Yeah. Like, I think I've realized these last couple of weeks the underappreciation that I personally have had for Jeff Brom, because he has figured out ways to win all the way from Western Kentucky to Purdue and now Louisville. It's hard to take Louisville seriously.
Oh, yeah, for sure. They're not an ACC team, right? That feels like a Big 12 team, especially the way that Brom is coaching and the way he's wired to coach. But I'm with you. Jeff Brom is not elite. He's never going to be an upper tier coach in the sport.
Yeah.
Maybe he should be, right? Because, like, he's kind of... Is he what we wanted Matt Campbell to be?
I don't know what we wanted Matt Campbell to be. Like, Matt Campbell...
Does it feel like Matt Campbell's under-delivered given his reputation? Or is he delivering exactly what we expect because he's at Iowa freaking State?
Maybe it's a little bit of... I don't want to say both, because it's like, how can you have both at that point? Here's what I would say. With Matt Campbell, I don't know what... Like, if you asked me what Iowa State's record was right now, I don't think I'd tell you. I could tell you.
What if I told you they were leading the Big 12 right now?
I'd be shocked.
Nick, they're 4-0. They just beat Houston. Okay, they're 4-0.
Houston's bad.
They beat Iowa in Kinnick.
That's right. I remember that. I was standing on the sideline of Memorial Stadium watching that happen.
Watching Iowa miss the field goal.
Yep.
Yeah, or Iowa State make the field goal.
Yeah, Iowa State make the field goal.
And they have a decent road. Baylor at West Virginia.
Yeah.
UCF, Texas Tech, at Kansas, who's not the same, Cincy. And then their last 2 weeks at Utah and host Kansas State for Farmageddon.
Man, and that maybe that's the maybe that's... It's bizarre. I also read try to gather, clues and observe from a distance. Like, there's got to be a reason why bigger programs haven't signed Matt Campbell, right? Like, there's got to be, right? There's got to be something. There's got to be something out there that is holding bigger programs back. And it's like, it's not, no offense, it's not Jamie Pollard. Like, Jamie Pollard's not the reason that Matt Campbell's sticking around.
Right.
So I wonder, after, it just seems like Iowa State doesn't get referenced. Number one, because they're Iowa State. Number two, like, they don't have the Purdy at quarterback. They don't have not Chuba Hubbard. Who is there running? Breece Hall. They don't have Breece Hall in the backfield. They don't have these flashier names that are garnering national attention. Which conversely, speaking of Chuba Hubbard, former Oklahoma State guy, Ollie Gordon, where is he at? Like, where's Oklahoma State?
Oh boy, they're the worst rushing team in FBS right now by success rate.
Ollie Gordon could have been a top 3 round pick in the NFL
my Heisman
draft.
dark horse.
Yes.
Yeah.
And just gone.
Yeah.
Just off the face of the earth. I do want to address this text. What was it? Henry says, your love for Texas and Notre Dame is just gross. I have to explain myself every time we bring up Notre Dame. Not Texas necessarily. Texas is, it's hard to argue that they're fun to watch. They're fun to watch. Their offense is really fun.
Down to their 4th string running back.
Yeah,
Arch is in the game.
Yeah,
Ryan Wingo.
They're fun to watch. And I don't enjoy watching Texas, but they are
fun to watch.
They're dynamic. It's similar like the Alabama conversation. Like, you can't tell me I wasn't cheering for Alabama to win that game Saturday, but I sat there and I could, as a casual college football fan, be like, you know what? Every time Bama's on, I'm going to watch in primetime because they show up.
It's how I feel about the Chiefs.
Yes.
I'm a fan of an AFC team, right?
Bingo.
I'm rooting against the Chiefs, but I also want the Chiefs to play well
and have someone unlock the formula for how to beat the Chiefs at their best.
But then with Notre Dame, it's more so the Marcus Freeman effect. And I've talked about this before. Marcus Freeman might be my favorite coach in D1 college football, not for any on-field reason, and not for any scheme. And maybe that's a bad thing to say. Strictly for the way that it was so publicly documented after Brian Kelly left, the way that the Notre Dame players rallied around Marcus Freeman. And once again, how it was so publicly documented. There's still YouTube videos that are posted and uploaded on YouTube from Notre Dame. And it kind of took you through his Marcus Freeman's like journey to recruiting and trying to get the class still going, is to stick around with Notre Dame. Like that off the field piece of it is really, really cool. That's why I kind of keep tabs on Notre Dame.
You probably watch those every night before you go to bed.
Not every night. I do go revisit them every like 6, 7, 8 months. And it's pretty cool. Notre Dame did a really good job. But then also like you see the ascension also of Marcus Freeman, like where he was at Cincinnati, part of that team with Luke Fickell. Cincinnati then makes the playoff, and Marcus Freeman ends up getting a defensive coordinator job with Notre Dame.
And that was a big step up for him.
And that was a huge step up. And then not even a full season later, he gets the job with Notre Dame. Like there's a reason for that. The same way we talked about Matt Campbell and how it's like you just don't have it. There's a reason that somebody saw Marcus Freeman as a potential head coach.
And Tad says Matt Campbell has a $7 million buyout if someone hires him away from Iowa State. $7 million is not prohibitive in college football.
No,
that is not keeping people away. Let's go to break here real quick. We'll have a short segment, then get it over to Old School right after this.
Hi, this is State Senator Carolyn Bozin. As a state senator, wife, and mom, I believe Nebraska is a great place to work and raise a family. My husband Reggie and I are local family business owners and proud to be involved in our community. Property tax relief is important to every family. Last year, I voted for the largest property tax relief package in Nebraska history, and I will continue to advocate for property tax relief. Vote Carolyn Bozin on November 5th. Paid for by Bozin for Legislature.
Rosie's Sports Bar and Grill, open for lunch and dinner at 1501 Center Park Road.
Experience a cleaner tomorrow with Niederhaus Refuse. Whether it's weekly residential pickups, large-scale commercial disposals, recycling, or roll-off, Niederhaus's team is here with reliable, efficient service and the most advanced solutions. Discover the difference that a committed and experienced waste management company can make. Niederhaus Refuse has been in business for over 100 years and is family-owned and operated since 1921. Call Niederhaus Refuse at 402-475-8361 and visit their website at nbrefuselincoln.com to learn more or sign up for your service today.
Load up on meat and more this summer at the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese at 84th and Havelock. This week's special through October 1st is spend $50, get one beef stew free, limit of one. Also, $1 off all drinks. Locations at 84th and Havelock, 30th and Yankee Hill, and now 85th and Highway 2 in Lincoln, or 168th and Maple in Omaha. Get to the Mercado today for the best meat in town.
Hey guys, it's your girl Jordan from Sartor Heyman Jewelers. Gentlemen, it's time to elevate your style with something from our men's jewelry and watch collection. Why not treat yourself to the ultimate in luxury? We've got an incredible selection of pre-owned Rolex watches, even those hard-to-find models you've been dreaming of. Whether you're stepping up your game day look or adding a touch of class to everyday wear, our top-tier collection is sure to impress. Stop by Sartor Heyman and discover the perfect piece to reflect your unique style. Until next time, happy shopping, guys.
With a wide variety of menu options, including the best prime and Wagyu steaks in Lincoln, if you haven't been to Tavern 180, you're missing out. Try any of their steak options paired with one of their well-known martinis, and this will soon become your favorite date night spot. Call your friends for a casual get-together where steak, shrimp, chicken, and tasty cocktails await your arrival. Tavern 180, located next door to Tanner's at 30th and Yankee Hill.
At Anderson Ford, we offer a 5-day return or exchange policy so you can make sure the vehicle you choose is the best vehicle for you. No pressure. Lease a 2024 Ford F-150 for $437 per month for 36 months. Experience better at Anderson Ford. Stock number 10041204337 per month. Lease for 36 months with approved credit. 7,500 miles per year. 5,500 dual signing. No security deposit required. Tax, title, and license fees extra. Residency restrictions apply. Program subject to change. Must take new retail delivery from Anderson Auto Group by 9/30/2024. See dealer for details.
Tailored Life is your headquarters for all things fall in Bennett. Make the short drive down Highway 2 for tons of items for your home, both indoors and outdoors. Check out their variety of potted trees, mums, and more. Plus, porch pots and landscape lighting to enhance the outside of your home. Don't forget their home goods for indoors, plus convenient drinks and snacks, most of which are produced locally. Visit Tailored Life today in Bennett and stay tuned to their Facebook page at Tailored Life 360 for food truck events coming up.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet. KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. Now back to On the Block with Strick and Austin on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Jim Sways, appreciate you guys on the YouTube streams chiming in, tapped into the show all show long. Y'all are awesome there. Tad, Big Bang, Hank 4913, Mike Thunderknock, Collins, appreciate you guys. Rick from Wahoo, Ryan in California as well. Austin Norman, Nick saying it with you for just a couple minutes here. What you got, Nick?
Mike said on the text line, bashing a 7-5 Kentucky finish is rich, coming from Husker fans that haven't even seen a bowl game in years. We weren't bashing on Kentucky for finishing 7-5. We were just saying a head coach is now able to hang their hat on even if they finish the year 4-8, you can somewhat justify and say, well, hey, don't forget they beat a top 10 team this last year.
Right. Mark Stoops.
There's more so of that.
Mark Stoops might be the person in the world who's most mad at John Calipari leaving for Arkansas.
Yes.
I don't think Cal did Stoops any favors.
No.
But of course, they had that kind of public back and forth about John Calipari being mad that Kentucky put resources into the football building, not the basketball building, and all of that. Also, Mike, care to claim your prediction from Friday? Did you care to claim that? Just 2 texts back. You can.
No.
If you want to claim that one, go right ahead.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Was that during?
That was during On the Block.
During your show.
We read it. We brought it up on the air. So
I didn't even see that.
Yeah. Feel free to claim that one, Mike.
Oh, boy.
Appreciate you listening, though.
We do appreciate you listening.
I want to circle back, Nick. I think we can bring the show full circle here with a text from Ryan in California. I think people are overthinking. This Nebraska team could have easily beat the Illinois team that just barely lost to a really good Penn State team. This Nebraska team is a high-ranked 15-30 team by the end of the season, which is a huge step from last season. Let time take its course. Let the team develop over time. We knew it would take 3 to 5 years to be a top 15 team again. Just need to accept it. If Nebraska finishes in the top 15, that is far ahead of schedule in year
very
2
much so.
for Matt Rule. Right? For me, again, this is where I go back to tying the Royals and the Huskers together, at least in my head. Not that the Huskers ever, bottomed out at 106 losses or the equivalent, right? 3-9, 4-8, 5-7. Feels like it for Husker fans.
Yeah.
But it's not the same. If Nebraska makes a bowl game, that's the bare minimum. They're not expected to make a New Year's Day bowl game. Certainly not a New Year's 6 bowl game. If they do that, that'll be far ahead of schedule. I think we're beyond the point where we can just say, just make a bowl game and Husker fans will be happy, right? This is more than a 6-win team, but asking for anything in the 8 to 9 range still feels like the upper boundary. And if Nebraska hits it, it probably will have maxed out for what it can do this year.
Let me ask you this question, Austin. If I were to ask, and the texters as well, what was the last season Nebraska was ranked in the AP postseason poll? The AP poll at the end of the season, what year was the last year that Nebraska was ranked in the top 25?
2013?
Close.
12?
2012.
Okay, knew it was one of those two.
Nebraska,
So they didn't get there after Bo.
They did
14.
not. Nope, they did not. So Nebraska at one point in that 2014 season was rated 11th. That was the highest that they got. Nebraska, I mean, I'm looking on Sports Reference here. Nebraska's been ranked, and under Mike Riley in that 2016 year, that was maybe a little fraudulent 7-0. They got up to 7th. They got up to 7th in that, and that was potentially the last time that they played at Indiana. At Indiana, because Indiana was their 7th win of that season before they went to Ohio State. But anyway,
because Indiana beat Nebraska in Lincoln.
Yes.
Under Riley.
Yes.
2019.
Yes.
Correct.
Because that was the was that the Andrew Bunch start?
That was Conway Noah caught that touchdown.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's
from
wow.
McCaffrey rolling to his right.
It was Luke McCaffrey getting the start. I knew it wasn't Adrian out there. But yeah, Nebraska, here's the thing, like to your point, Ryan in California, Ryan in California goes, if this team is a high-ranked 15-30 team at the end of the season, if Nebraska's got a number next to their name when things are all said and done and you enter, the early signing period of December, you know what? All right, pat on the back, I suppose, because that's somewhere that you have not been in over a decade. 12 years to be exact.
That's
and even in 2012 you were 25th.
Yeah. Just
barely on there.
So
because you lost the Capital One Bowl. Oh, wait, I love watching. I love looking back at old bowl games.
What we got?
Hold on. So 2012 Capital.
That would have been Nebraska, Georgia.
It would have been
99-yarder from Tommy DeQuincy, right?
2012 the schedule. So I got clicks a couple buttons. They played. So I forgot about this. This was the Capital One Bowl.
South Carolina?
No, it was Georgia.
Yes.
That Nebraska was rated 23rd going into the game, and they played 6th ranked Georgia.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just dramatically, one-sided.
Was that the one Nebraska won?
This was not the one Nebraska won. The 99-yard pass was the year before. Hold on. I can
would have been the next year? Because Nebraska played Georgia twice and South Carolina twice in pretty quick succession.
Because they didn't play the 99-yard one was the Gator Bowl. It wasn't the following year. Was the following year. They played the Gator Bowl. That was the 99-yard one.
And Georgia was like mid-teens at that point,
yes,
right? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Still with Aaron Murray though.
Yes.
So
Aaron Murray's underrated all time, man.
This one, Aaron Murray in the game. Georgia wins 45-31. This is January 1st, 2013, so the 2012 season. Nebraska, first of all, in the first quarter with 11:39 left on the clock, safety. So Georgia led 2-0. Then Arthur Lynch scored on a pass. Then Nebraska actually took a 14-9 lead after a Jamal Turner touchdown reception. Then Will Compton has a pick 6 in that game.
Oh.
Nebraska leads 14-9. Then Tavares King catches a 75-yard pass. Todd Gurley scores from 24 yards out. Nebraska then scores what would be 17 unanswered. They have a 39-yard field goal from Brett Maher, a 16-yard touchdown pass to Rex Burkhead, a 2-yard touchdown run to Burkhead, and they actually, with 9:42 in the third quarter, led 31-23. But then Georgia, Chris Conley, Keith Marshall, and then another Chris Conley touchdown, 45-31.
Kind of feels like the Holiday Bowl against USC.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways.
Yeah. Man. I love old bowl games, man. There was that time Nebraska just loved the Capital One Bowl.
Yep.
And
South Carolina,
which was that
Alshon Jeffrey is on that team.
Did they play the Connor Shaw team?
I think they would have had to, right?
So that would have been 2011, correct? 2011. This will be the last thing before we have to obviously get out of here. 2011.
Or was it
9-4?
Was it Connor Shaw? Or was it Stephen Garcia?
It might have been Stephen Garcia. So even in the Capital One Bowl kind of screwed Nebraska a couple of times.
It was Connor Shaw.
So Nebraska played when they were 23rd, 6th ranked Georgia. The year before, they had to play 10th ranked South Carolina when they were 21st in the country. I mean, the bowl matchup was not even. It was not even.
Nebraska scored 13 points in the first quarter with a missed extra point, and then didn't score the rest of the game.
Well, and here's the thing. Here's what's crazy. It was 16-13 at half, 16-13 at the end of the third quarter, and 14 points in the fourth quarter.
Those two final touchdowns, I'm pretty sure it was Alshon Jeffrey that had one. No, he had the one.
He just had the big catch, I believe.
He had the one at the end of at halftime because he went up and mossed everyone.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's right.
Man.
How about that?
What a show.
So I'm trying. Jadeveon Clowney had 4 tackles. Melvin Ingram had 3 or 4 total tackles. Stephon Gilmore had 5 and an interception.
Yelly Lock. Miss him. Come back to Indy, Stephon, please.
Amir Abdullah had 2 kickoff returns for 44 yards. That's more than a lot.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Holy cow. Thanks for sitting in.
Brett Maher, 5 punts for 197 yards.
Dang.
Thanks, Austin. Always a pleasure.
Fun. Yeah. Stricky back tomorrow from Phoenix. We'll take you through the rest of the week. Don't forget, Tuesday and Wednesday on stream, Royals baseball on the air starting at 2:30. So make sure you join us there, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. All thanks to our friends at Starter Heyman Jewelers. For Nick, I'm Austin. Big thanks to Nebco. Don't go anywhere. I'm with DP for Old School right after this. Are you a skilled mechanic looking for your next big opportunity? Constructors is hiring. We're looking for experienced mechanics to join our family-owned team. We offer competitive wages, great benefits, brand new service trucks, OEM-level diagnostic software, and career growth opportunities. Positions include lead and A-level mechanics for our shop and multiple field technicians.